Mine smells like cigar.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers start their defense of their Super Bowl title right now. One of us has already been in the swimming pool, and Philly runs into an absolute buzzsaw today in Tampa. We've got more playoff football. Congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs on their college football championship. And we've got some you can't fix stupid. What are the best and the worst head coaching jobs in the NFL available right now? It is go time. It's Sunday night. Saddle up for the main event. So listen, before we get into the Buccaneers' dominant victory over the Philadelphia Eagles, which shouldn't come as any surprise as we typically dominate Philadelphia, one of us doesn't have to go to work tomorrow. The rest of these poor schlups do not get to celebrate Martin Luther King Day. Pooh Bear, what are you going to do with yourself all day while everybody else is at work?
You know what? I just discussed that with my wife, and we came up with a solid plan of staying in our pajamas and watching Yellowstone. We've got
That's a solid plan.
We've got one more season to go, which is the most recent season, season 4. So we're going to crank that out and, do what we do best and not do anything at all.
Listen, that is a solid way to observe Martin Luther King Day. So
hey,
have fun. I can't wait for you to finally be caught up with the show so we can talk about it.
Yes, because you guys keep attempting to spill secrets, and it's really aggravating.
Yeah. Well, now we're just doing it on purpose about stuff that has nothing to do with the show.
Yeah, I figured. This isn't my first rodeo to coin a Yellowstone phrase.
All right, so we go. The Philadelphia comes here. They get more of the same from us. Their second loss to us this season, but I love beating Philadelphia on the way to a Super Bowl. How about y'all?
Dude, that may be my favorite city, representative from a city to beat. I hate the Flyers. I hate the Phillies. I hate the Eagles. I hate the Spirit or whatever Bon Jovi's arena football team was called. I hate them all.
Wow.
I don't have a lot of hate in my heart, but I do have a lot of hate.
You actually kind of do, because I was about to ask you if you hate them more than Boston fans.
That's tough. It's a close second. I mean, any given day, either one of them could be number one. I'll tell you that.
Hey, there was a lot of talk out of Philly this week about revenge for us beating them at home for the NFC Championship game back in 2002 or 3. I don't know exactly what year it was played. Super Bowl was in 03, but I maybe played them in 02. Okay, so yeah, and so they were going to come down here and beat us in our house. That didn't happen.
No. In fact, they didn't even get on the board until the fourth quarter. It was a 31-15 win by your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was not close at all. The fact that they even scored twice was pretty much a downright miracle. We must have had the third string in by then. I don't know. We were headlong into a good time. So let's break it down. Chief, I'm going to start with you. We're going to break down the defense. You know what I saw, and you'll break down for us further, but a full-strength defense showed us what they can do today.
Yeah, full strength minus Sean Murphy-Bunting, who is our number one cornerback. So, I'm going to say 95% there. But, in the defensive side of the locker room, there's a saying. And that saying is that the defense wins games while the offense entertains. Okay, and we saw that today because Philadelphia came in here sporting the number one rush defense in the entire offense, their number one rush offense in the entire NFL, and they ran into the number one / maybe number 2 rush defense in the NFL, and those guys got stopped. We saw only 95 yards rushing. 36 of those came from the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Their running backs got nowhere on us, under 60 yards that they had. Jalen Hurts himself, he threw for 258 yards, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, only a 52% completion rate. The time of possession is a little misleading. Okay, time of possession, it winds up in the Bucs' favor, 27 minutes to 33 minutes, roughly. Okay, so but in the fourth quarter, the Buccaneers had their second string defense in almost across the board. Okay, they do sustain some drives in the fourth quarter. They score some points in the fourth quarter. That was not against our starters. Our starters, those guys played a fantastic game. And I'm going to tell you what, with the exception of 1 or 2 crash downs that I saw, what I did see from the defense is something I've been very critical on them, so I want to give them some props. They had penetration, they had containment, and there was nowhere for those guys to go. When they tried to run outside, they couldn't get there. When they tried to come up the middle, they couldn't go anywhere. So, I mean, really and truly, this defense, especially the defensive line, those guys did a really nice job controlling what Philadelphia was trying to do to us. I do have 2 small bits of critique that I want to bring up on this team here. The first one is our tacklers. Our top 4 tacklers were all defensive backs. We didn't even get into a top 5 tackler today until number 5. So you're talking Edwards and safeties and cornerback. I mean, that's kind of the same thing that we've been seeing for the last couple weeks. And I guess it's working, but I would really like to see some defensive backs get in on this.
Hey, Chief, can I make an observation on that? Yeah, can I make an observation on that real quick, Chief? One of the things I noticed today was knowing that they were going to run the Philadelphia, and they like to spread the ball out. They like to run end arounds and what have you. We saw a lot of those safeties or corners get up on the line and play the run immediately. And I think that's why some of those tackles came in. It wasn't necessarily that they were getting through our line or our linebackers, but we were playing to that off the corner position or off the ends.
Yes, you're right. That is what was going on there, but you've got to be very careful when doing that. Jalen Hurts, okay, probably not a top 15 passing quarterback in the NFL. We've run into a quarterback that can throw the football while our safeties are pulled up to stop the run. That's going to create a problem for us. That's my point to that. Our linebackers have to do a better job of being able to go left and right and stop and handle some of that containment on their own without having to go with safety help.
Yeah, the Eagles did have a lot of success, especially on third down, passing to their tight end Goddard. Some third and shorts. He was open while he was being covered by a linebacker. And, agree with you, B-Love, a lot of the tackles that came from the secondary were off of blitzes, corner blitzes, safety blitzes that were essentially blowing up their run. A lot of those were tackles for losses, which is great. So I agree. You get an Aaron Rodgers back there, even a Matt Stafford, which is a potential opponent coming up in the next round or two. Both those guys could be dangerous in that kind of scenario.
So I have one last critique. Now I want to bring this up, okay? And because of the fact that it worked out in the Bucs' favor, I don't think you're going to hear anybody else talk about it. But in the fourth quarter, we're up by 16. We're close to the goal line, and we decide to go for it on 4th down. So we're up by 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions. But if you've watched enough football, you've seen stranger things happen. You've seen 2 touchdowns scored within under a minute at times. For me, I would much rather have seen the Buccaneers kick a field goal and go up by 3 full possessions on that instead of, I understand it worked out just fine. Bruce Arians was saying, I'm confident in my defense. He goes, my offensive line is really good. We've been running the football. I'm going to go ahead and let these guys prove that they can do it. They didn't get it. And they put us in a position where things could have gone funny. They didn't. But I'm just saying, when you're playing for your survival, you win or you go home. I think you take that 3 points and you go up by 3 full possessions. Almost impossible at that time for another team to come back.
Yeah. TSG, you've been waiting to say something, I can tell.
So this game would have been a little bit closer had there not been the turnovers that there were. And we had 0 turnovers with Buccaneers, and Philadelphia obviously turned it over 3 times. One of them on a punt return, which was really close into their area. early in the game, our defense was just fabulous, which allowed our offense also to go in and score. We got turnovers. We really never lost control of this game at all, like Chief said. The numbers are kind of they kind of lie to you a little bit because everything except for turnovers, even time of possession, even the amount of drives, 13 to 13, yardage is almost exactly the same, receiving and rushing. Penalties, it's almost the same exactly for how many penalties and the yards we got. I mean, it's really remarkable how close the stats are, except for the fact that we had our second string in, like Chief said. We also were not playing an aggressive form of offense once we got a really large lead. It didn't make any sense to get anyone injured, play it safe, do what we can. So we really never lost control of this game. We dominated in both ways. Defense was huge. It's the first time we've seen this defense since last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice to see these guys take off. Tom Brady had a rating of 115, and we still got some receivers, some of the newer guys, making some mistakes with their routes, stopping a little early, perhaps. Tom Brady's a little inaccurate early on in games as well, it seems, just a little bit there. As he goes on, he gets a whole lot better. Of course, again, we had like 9 receivers catch a ball in this game, which is important because at any point we may need to exploit a weakness, and it could be any one of those guys that has to step in and make a play for us. And getting these guys this playing time is going to help us. Of course, we saw Scotty Miller's speed again on display. I think we're going to see some really big things out of him when he comes out of that box.
Yeah, I think we're all we have this anticipation for whatever reason of Scotty Miller. And I think it's last year in the playoffs, he had a couple of key plays, maybe some flashy plays, and we've been waiting 18 games now to see something. And the guy really hasn't had a whole lot of touches. So we'll see what happens. So switching gears a little bit to the offense, Pooh Bear, I'll key you up real quick. But one of the questions I asked last week is who's going to play running back for this team? We were expecting to see Leonard Fournette today. No Lenny. But how did we fare?
Not bad. They had a combined rushing yards of right around 100 between Giovanni Bernard, Keyshawn Vaughn, and I think Scotty Miller got in on the action, just like TSG said. So that wasn't bad. They probably could have run the ball a little more, especially later half of the game when they were already ahead to maintain the lead, get a little ball control. They did not. But whatever. It's here nor there. Brady had a rather pedestrian day, 270, 2 touchdowns.
Pedestrian, 270, 2
touchdowns,
touchdowns, 113 quarterback rating.
In this day and age, that is
just
rather
average.
Pedestrian. It is average.
It is.
Expect with a team like that, the Eagles, who don't have a pass defense whatsoever, there probably were some expectations of a 400-yard day. So that's 270 is not what you're looking for, but it got the job done.
I also think they came out. They were totally whipping Philadelphia in the first half. The whole game plan changed in the second half offensively.
Correct,
and it was because we didn't really need to put points on the board, like we did in the first half.
And I think the key in the first 2 quarters was going into the 2-minute drill, the 2-minute huddle. They were really running the high speed offense, not giving the Eagles time to rest on their defense or make substitutions. That's the key right there, especially with a team like that who their defensive line isn't bad. They still have, the Fletcher Coxes of the world, Kerrigans of the world. They've got some good players. They're just, they're a little older. The young guys haven't come on just yet for the Eagles. They will eventually. They're like all teams are young, or like most teams. But, what we did see was some efficiency out of Brady. He did have some inconsistency, like TSG alluded to early on, missing some passes. He lost to Tyler Johnson, and I think he had another one to Brashard Perriman, who, just a little bit out of reach. I think there was another one to Gronk that was just a little bit out of reach. He's just not on target exactly early on, which, again, I've been pounding this rock for 8 weeks now. He's just not as sharp as he tends to be. Now, the wind was up today. There was a little bit of moisture in the air. I don't know if that was the problem or it's just preparation or just, 44 years old. Who knows? My main concerns going into next week, whoever they're going to play, is Tristan Wirfs. He did suffer a ligament injury of some sort. To me, the way he was holding his leg, it looks like a high ankle sprain, which I've seen a few of those. That is not something you can come back from quickly. It is a injury which requires rest. Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know if that's exactly what happened to him, but that's what it looks like to me. Especially the fact that he tried to come back in, got blown up on a play, almost got Tom killed, left the game. His backup comes in. He gets blown up by same guy who is Ryan Kerrigan. I mean, he's a tremendous left end. Comes in, blows up that guy, and nearly kills Tom. So it's like, all right, we got to have somebody play right tackle or keep a tight end over there. So that's going to be my main concern going into next week is that right tackle position.
Yeah, and they did rotate in tight ends on that side, throughout the game specifically for that. Those guys probably weren't there to run routes, especially they ran a couple of 3 tight end sets that we haven't seen a whole lot of. We've been expecting to see a lot of 3 tight end sets over the last 2 seasons. We haven't really seen a lot, but you saw probably more today than we've seen in quite some time, and that may be the answer to that. But hopefully Tristan Wirfs is okay. I think we saw why he is a Pro Bowler pretty quickly.
An All-Pro, not just a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro. That is an elite status announcement that is coming out this week. That's huge.
Yeah, and the one good thing about being able to put Gronk there on the end to help whatever tackle is going to be in there is that Gronk can release so fast, so he can make a bump. And he releases so fast, and he's such a big guy that he could still be effective. It won't be as effective as if we were leaving Tristan Wirfs in there more often and he just took straight off. But we can still pull it off. And Pooh, to your point, that 2-minute offense could be really helpful for us when we play a team like the Rams, who have a great defensive line. We can keep those guys, from getting new fresh guys in there, from getting plays in, put them off balance a little bit. We might need that against, again, a team with a good defensive line.
Hey, the one really bright thing about losing, I don't want to say bright thing, but, if we can look at the silver lining on this, okay, is that Tristan Wirfs hasn't missed not a play until today in 2 years, okay? So I think when they're game planning, probably on the back burner is what do we do if Tristan Wirfs goes down? That's not really something that they're really worried about on a daily basis. Now they have an entire week to say, hey, if Tristan can't go, if Tristan gets injured again, you need to work on this position. So we have an entire week to get, an offensive lineman tackle ready for that spot. As of today, the guy just gets thrown in. He's like, hey, man, you're up. Go take over that right side.
Next. Yep. Yeah. Hey, TSG, I'm going to come back to you for a second. How surprised were you to see Tom Brady in the game in the fourth quarter?
So when he got knocked over one of those last times, everyone's just biting their knuckles because you're like, if he goes down, it's over. It's just over.
I mean, let's remember we went into the fourth quarter with a 31-point lead. Right? Philadelphia scored all their points in the back half of the fourth quarter, by the way, not the front half. And Tom Brady's still out there taking snaps. I have to question why that is happening.
So the train of thought is, and I'll give credit to 620 WDA crew. I was on the way over listening to their post-game show, and they were saying that a lot of that is about how they finish this game because they want momentum into the next game. They have to finish really well, right? So what they don't want to happen is you put the backups in too early, and then all of a sudden they start to score a lot on you. Then you got to throw your starters back in, and if it doesn't go well, then it doesn't flow well into the next week. That was, and that comes from one of our old receivers, Clayton, who was giving that analysis. So that was his explanation.
I can see that, but you still have Tristan Wirfs, who is out. Ryan Jensen, who left the game for a few plays, maybe even a drive or two. So that is 2 pieces off your offensive line who are, like we just talked about, not just Pro Bowlers, but all pros. You're going to risk your 44-year-old quarterback to that kind of pressure. That it's a bit troublesome for me, but it worked out. BA is BA. Left witch is left witch. They know more about football than I'll ever forget, but man, that is disconcerting as a fan sitting there from
Yeah.
Belo's patio watching that.
It could also just be Tom Brady saying, "I'm not coming out."
I mean,
You know what
listen,
I mean?
I understand the competitive
Absolutely.
nature there, and I love that about him. But at some point, it just doesn't make sense. You know, when the game is well in hand, and there's been plenty of games this season where Blaine Gabbert got the last 2 series of a game, or
Right.
maybe even 3 series a game. And to me, this was a more dominating performance than a lot of the games that Gabbert got in. And we're in the playoffs. This is, to Chief said it earlier, like this is win or go home.
And they were running the ball quite a bit more in the fourth quarter, to maintain the ball control. So
yeah, but twice he went down on 3rd and longs.
Yeah,
because they gave up the run to try to get the first down, and
Right.
twice he got sacked on those 3rd and longs.
Yeah.
right. And
So-
I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm putting that out there. It could cost them one day. Hopefully, it doesn't.
Yeah. And anything else you guys see from the game today you want to talk about before we switch gears a little bit?
I
You
did
wanna
like
talk
how
about-
they used Scotty Miller in more of those reverses towards the end of the game. I'd like to see that earlier on. I think that could lead to some success. We see San Francisco doing it with that Deebo Samuel. You see Atlanta doing it with Cordarrelle Patterson. I mean, it is a successful kind of play with the right personnel. It appears that Scotty Miller's got that. He's clearly not getting involved in the passing game, the deep passing game. So why not use him there, especially since you have running backs who are down? I mean, we're down. Our top running backs right now are Giovanni Bernard, who, he's been around for a while. Keyshawn Vaughn, who we can't trust in the passing game at all. And Le'Veon Bell, who was signed off of the street, essentially. So
I don't even know that was he. I don't even know that he got any snaps today.
I didn't see him on the field.
I didn't see him.
Yeah.
So
You're right. Our number 1 and our number 2 coming into the season were Leonard Fournette and Rojo. Neither one of them suited up today.
Both
We
are
expected to see Fournette today, and we really haven't heard any word on him whether he'll be back next week or not. But
right.
I think we saw how important today a full strength defense is, and now we're looking at going into week 2 of the playoffs with possibly Wirfs out. We don't quite yet know the extent of Jensen's injury, and still number 1 and number 2 running backs down. And no Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I say all that, and then I scratch my head and go, well, freaking Tom Brady's Tom Brady, and look at what they did today without all those
Right.
guys. So
They're getting it done despite all that.
so yeah. Okay. So let's take a look. Pooh Bear, do you have our picks from last week?
I
So
do.
There were 2 games on Saturday. There's a game currently going on.
Yep.
I don't know. It looks like we're at the end of the fourth quarter. We'll probably get the score of that game here in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So we know that we don't have all of the games from our picks last week. So we don't know what games are going to be on tap for the following week. We'll be back Tuesday night for just a special live show. It'll be our picks only. But where are we at so far? How are we doing with the picks that we had for the Saturday games?
So far, the first game Saturday was the Raiders at Bengals, which was an amazing game. If you guys missed it, that
Joe
was
Burrow
tremendous.
looked great.
I did do a little bit of napping during that game. For those who don't know, we all went camping on Friday night, so we were a little tired come Saturday afternoon from being up late sitting around the campfire. But the Bengals did pull that off. Joe Burrow looks like a number 1 pick, right? That's when you make a number 1 pick of a quarterback. That's exactly what you want him to look like.
I feel happy for Cincinnati.
I do too. And I've never been a fan of Cincinnati, but I could clearly see that as being a team. Like they're really a few pieces away from being a Super Bowl contender. I mean, they may be this year because of they're in the playoffs, but it just seems like give it another couple of defensive positions, maybe some offensive linemen to protect Burrow a little bit better than what he's getting right now, and they are a dominant team waiting to happen. But they did win against the Raiders. All 4 of us picked that game correctly, so that's a wash. The second game was the Patriots at the Bills. Didn't see any snow. I was looking for snow in that game, even though it was like
it was still cold,
something stupid, and a sellout again.
Yeah,
like,
who wants to? Dude, would you go to a 5-degree game? It's 5 degrees outside. Would you go?
I mean, we're all Florida boys,
Yeah.
so this is not something we're accustomed to, but I don't even know how to function in less than 60-degree weather, much less 5-degree weather.
I was cold watching the game, and I
Yes.
thought it was amazing. I thought it was amazing to watch. Like the coaches on the sideline, they had like this almost like a Nomex hood, like the fireman wear, it covered their entire face and stuff. And then they had yet another either hat on top of that, or some face covering. I was like, this is crazy. I mean, it is that cold. I was cold watching it.
There was smoke coming out of their mouth, like steam coming out of their mouth, and they weren't even breathing yet. Like when they would inhale, stuff would come out. It was crazy. But the Bills did win that game in deciding fashion. The only knucklehead to pick the Patriots was B-Love. Silly
really?
Man. Yeah. You silly man.
Did.
What are you thinking?
I picked New England?
Sure did.
Yes, you did.
Wow, I thought for sure. I'm going to have to go back and watch the film.
Honestly, you can't be blamed. I mean, the Patriots did beat them once this year. They've played 3 times now. The Patriots did get them once. Mac Jones actually had a very odd day where he threw 3 passes, 2 of them successfully. The Patriots won that. That was a game in the snow a few months ago. I think it was back in November.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're not completely out of your mind for picking the Patriots and Bill Belichick. I mean, come on. Who bets against Bill Belichick? But when was the last time? Here's a good trivia question. When was the last time Nick Saban and Bill Belichick lost playoff games in the same week?
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
That's a good trivia question right there.
It was this week for sure.
This week for sure. I don't know if it's happened again. Some smart guy out there watching is probably going to tell me, it happened again last year.
Oh, you don't know the answer? I know. I'm trying to work on it. You don't even.
I was going to say, you don't even know the answer to it. Wow.
No, I have no idea. I just thinking out loud.
So check in with us Tuesday night. We'll have the picks for this coming week. We'll know who the opponents are going to be. I know you guys were probably all watching the Dallas-San Francisco game before you got on this broadcast.
Yep.
There's almost 4 minutes left in this game. San Francisco has the ball. They're up 23-17. But here's what I want to talk about.
Well, hang on. Just a precursor of that. Both me and B-Love have the 49ers.
Okay, we both
PSG,
have the 49ers.
The Chief have the Cowboys.
All right, I'm feeling good about my pick right now.
Same.
What in the world is the NFL doing with this alternate broadcast on Nickelodeon? Like,
wow.
Somebody please explain to me what is
this has been happening for a couple of years now.
I feel like they're trying to match the Mannings on ESPN too. They're looking for another way to present the game. But this is totally wrong. Children do not watch NFL football. They just don't. I don't care how many simulated slimes that you do to people, how many kabooms you put up after a play's already been done. It's not interesting. It's bad football when you're showing the players, okay? They show the stats of the players. They're not showing, size and number of sacks. They're showing favorite ice cream that they ate or that they like. Yeah. Yeah, they're saying, hey, his favorite ice cream is, chocolate mint or something like that. And I said, this is terrible, man. This is really, really bad football here.
But it's on.
Let me tell you why you're wrong on that.
Yeah,
let me tell you why you're wrong.
Well, I can't wait to hear this.
Your very own son does not like to watch football with you. Not because he doesn't like you, but because he doesn't really care for football, correct?
not yet, correct.
Not yet.
There's still time. There's still time.
So Nickelodeon's been doing this for a couple years now. They've been doing it on Monday nights, and they've been doing it for some playoff games and some Saturday games. If your son had been doing this 8 years ago, 9 years ago, maybe he gets an appreciation for football because it is fun. Yeah, I get it. It's not authentic. It's not what the average middle-aged male wants to watch. But if kids are tuning into Nickelodeon and that's what they're seeing and it attracts them to the game that we all love, I'm all for it. I don't care if there's slime on it. I don't care if they're telling me that Gronk's favorite ice cream is Chunky Monkey. Whatever. If my son says, hey, I want to be like Gronk because he likes Chunky Monkey and he sits down to watch the ball game with me, so be it. Let's go.
So you think this is a gateway to the NFL because here's the thing. We didn't grow up watching Nickelodeon, and sliming football players, and yet we all love the game. And I just feel like they're making a game that a lot of people really don't get into the nuts and bolts about. I mean, there's zero appreciation among the standard football fan for the linemen. They go out there and make a game happen.
Sure, but nobody's watching
and
Nickelodeon.
Now these guys are not even.
They're
making, and they're going to have even less appreciation. They're going to, where's all the extra stuff that surrounds it? You're losing the game. You're into, extra effects.
No,
That's
they're
like
just.
I don't
that's
like
like
it.
making me sit through a hazmat class. Okay, when I'm that age. When I'm that age, I want to see what Nickelodeon's putting up there. The only thing I cared about was Joe Montana throwing touchdowns down the field, and he was my hero until he got hurt. But anyway, so
I saw a segment where they had a cowboy hat superimposed on Dak Prescott's head, and I was like,
hey, you guys have one on my head for fantasy football. So I mean, come on.
That's true. Listen, it's just repackaging the product that we all love to a younger generation in hopes that this will let them appreciate the same product at a later age.
I've thought about a kids ESPN where you get a couple of smart kids that can talk on camera, because they have on these YouTube channels, you wouldn't believe these kids that are hosting shows. They're hosting shows, and the kids, and they're really successful. Putting a couple of kids up there talking about football the way they talk about football. You know,
Sports Illustrated.
Hey, Pat,
tried
we're on
that.
YouTube right now.
Yeah, I'm saying, but it's probably not. It's probably not going to be about
Sports Illustrated. Tried that. They had Sports Illustrated for kids.
Sports Illustrated for kids. Yep.
That's different.
So
That's not ESPN.
I hate to give Pooh Bear some more fire at me, but according to my sources here on Google, it says that last year's Nickelodeon, they did the same thing last year, was a success. 2.06 million was the average viewers that they had, making it Nickelodeon's most watched program in nearly 4 years.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I'm telling you.
2.06 million is more than what people watch this show.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe,
a little bit.
Maybe we need to put a hat back on TSG.
Or, hey, we need to remember the wig? We need to go back to the wig.
Yes.
The wig of shame.
Hey,
Let's
I
go
had
back to
something.
that.
I had something there. If you guys would, if it would have been legitimate, we'd have kept that going. But
It was legitimate. What are you talking about?
All right. Listen, let's get into what I think is going to be a worthwhile discussion. Two more head coaches get fired this week. David Culley after one season with the Texans, and Joe Judge with the Giants. I think we all saw that coming. There are a number of coaching vacancies. What I want to hear, Pooh Bear, we're going to kick off with you. What is the most desirable coaching vacancy that we see currently? And the teams that we have to pick from are the Texans, the Giants, the Jags, the Broncos, the Bears, the Vikings, the Dolphins, and the Raiders.
The Raiders.
So, Pooh Bear, who you got? What's the most desirable coaching?
If I'm a head coach candidate and I'm looking for a job and I was offered any of these jobs, I would 100% go to Jacksonville. I feel the Jaguars are a team on the rise. I already love their existing offensive personnel. You've got Trevor Lawrence, who I think could be a star in the vein of Joe Burrow, who we were just talking about, an athletic quarterback that's got a good head on his shoulders with a good arm. He could be very successful in this league for a long time. They have some great receivers with Marvin Jones and Laviska Shenault. They've got the run game's not so great. That's probably an area they need to address this coming draft. I believe they have the number 1 draft pick this year again. So that's another reason in my favor that I would want to have that. Their defense is solid. Josh Allen, who kind of came out of his first year, was amazing. Had a little bit of a down year after an injury. Came back again this year, was really dominant in that for their team. A couple more pieces around him. I think that's a fantastic defense to build around. I would really be excited. Not to mention Shad Khan, their owner, is proven that he will do anything to support a winner, right? So he made a huge mistake hiring Urban Meyer. I think that was a publicity stunt, not really a stunt, but a publicity move, right? He thought that Urban Meyer could do something for his team. Clearly he could not, because Urban Meyer is just a trash human being. But I am not a trash human being.
They did sell a lot of tickets by signing Tim Tebow.
Correct, which I thought was a pretty good move to myself, but didn't work out either. But again, I'm not a trash human being. I'm going to come in there. I'm going to make some good offensive lineman picks, because we all know that seasons and games are won in the trenches. You need an excellent offensive line. You get a decent running back. That team is a playoff team waiting to happen with
Wow.
those moves.
Wow. So are you suggesting, and we don't know, we can't see the whole field quite yet, but the having the first round pick and a new head coach could put the Jags in the playoffs next season
If he makes the right moves. Taking a left tackle, right? Taking an offensive lineman, preferably a left tackle with a number 1 overall pick, building the rest of your defense out, getting a free agent running back off the street. Maybe Leonard Fournette goes back to Jacksonville. He's probably going to be a free agent after this year. I don't want to see him leave my team, but it's a possibility, right? Okay. You put him back there with a decent offensive line and Trevor Lawrence throwing downfield to Marvin Jones. My goodness, this is an explosive team.
All right. So Pooh Bear's going with the Jags. I'm gonna go up next. I think the most desirable job out there right now is the Dolphins. And so we were all surprised to see the head coach there get fired. They win 8 of their last 9 games. Listen, I looked at their schedule for last season and who they beat and who beat them. And they beat some playoff teams, but they also lost to some playoff teams. I think they're a football team that's ready. For whatever reason, I think we're starting to hear that the head coach wasn't getting along very well with Tua. And I think that causes a problem in the locker room. And the speed of the leader determines the speed of the pack. So if Tua's not happy, if he's not giving his best effort, that probably goes down to the rest of the offense. So I think you get the right person in there to lead Tua, to give him confidence, that you could see great things out of that team. They were just a smidge away from being a playoff team already. They're going to have a decent draft pick in the first round, and a decent enough draft pick. Like, they don't necessarily need a skilled position player. So the position that they do need is probably going to be available where they're picking somewhere in the middle of the pack. But I think the easiest, I just said they had Tua.
Nobody, who else you going to put Tua on and he's going to start? What other team in the NFL right now would you say, if you gift him Tua Tagovailoa, whatever his name is, if you gift them that player, does he start for? Name one. I'll wait.
Hey, I say just be glad B-Love didn't choose your team, because then there's competition as who they choose as the head coach. You should be happy. You should be happy with this.
Yeah. So that's my pick.
All right.
Chief, what do you got?
Okay, so hate to tell you this, guy. You guys have both picked the wrong team because, and I am going to tell you that I cannot believe I'm going to say this. These words are going to come out of my mouth because not the biggest Vikings fan in the room, but I believe that the team best poised to move forward, especially even next year, are going to be the Minnesota Vikings. So if I had the opportunity to coach one of the teams, that's the team I'm going to tell you why.
Wait a minute. Wait, time out. You hate the Vikings.
I do not like the Vikings because we all know why. We don't need to rehash that story. Okay, but here we go. Okay, at the risk of making Zelensky happy, I would choose the Vikings, and I'm going to say for a lot of reasons. Number one, the Vikings are really good at defense. They have top 10 defense in the NFL for like the last 3 years. So when you've got a defense that's good, that means that as a coach, you can come in and you can cut. You don't have to fix what's not broken. So the defense, that's half your team. You leave that alone. You concentrate on the offense. Now, the offense, there's definitely some room to work on. Okay, and the good news is about the Minnesota Vikings is they've got room to work. They have the 5th most salary cap room going into next year.
Wow.
with only $213 million to work with. Okay, you have enough money to work to build your offense with veteran players, to re-sign guys that are on your team, to go out and get free agency, and
they do have Dalvin Cook.
They've got Dalvin Cook. Hey, whatever your opinion of Kirk Cousins is, that guy has one. He has one. Okay?
One win.
He is not a you know what he is? He's not going to win the game for you. I contribute him to like a Trent Dilfer. Trent Dilfer, he may not win the game, but he's not going to lose it for you either. Okay? Remember, Trent Dilfer wins the Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, then goes on and gets fired for it, but that's another story. But he is good enough to be an NFL quarterback that gives you time to draft and develop somebody who's going to be that guy. So, and by the way, let's not forget that the Vikings were not bad this year. They were 8-9, so they had a losing record, but not by a lot. So, 8-9, I think this is a team that's ready to move forward next year. So I take the Minnesota Vikings. TSG, who would you choose?
All right. You guys are all wrong, for one. There's a team that's in the playoffs right now, okay? Already making the playoffs. And that was the Las Vegas Raiders.
Was in the playoffs.
They were. They got beat. But you know what? They got beat without a head coach. Now, Bisaccia has an opportunity to maybe fill into that spot, but he has not been the head coach this year. It wasn't his offense. It wasn't his defense or his coordinators that he chose, his philosophy. He stepped in and just kind of did admirably. But I'm going to tell you what you want is a team that knows how to win. You want a team that has been into the playoffs. You got to have a quarterback. They've got Derek Carr with 4,804 yards this year. The guy threw 23 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. They've got Josh Jacobs, who almost had 1,000 yards rushing. They also got Hunter Renfrow, who's a receiver, had over 1,000 yards receiving. A linebacker with 154 tackles. And then they've got this guy here. They had 35 sacks, by the way, their defense. And Yannick, he had 10 of those just himself. So they've got a core team there. Once they get their head coach in there and the one that they want, I mean, to me, that's the most desirable team to go to if you want to have success right away. They've got the players. A team like, New York Giants, they're an absolute mess. They don't have the talent. The Dolphins, they don't have the quarterback. Jacksonville, here's the thing. Jacksonville, those guys, they may have the talent, like Bila says, but they're guys above them, the administration, the executives, they're not good. They don't work. They don't work well. They somehow always mess it up. And we've seen that just like here on the main event. When you got a good player that makes great picks and the upper management doesn't let you win,
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Hey, what I just heard him say is that we're upper management.
Yeah.
We're upper management.
Listen,
So
TSG,
I'm going to need that job, aren't I? I'm going to need that
TSG,
job.
you're wrong on the Raiders, and I'm going to tell you why. You ready to know why you're wrong? Right here. Because this guy agrees with you.
Oh,
All right?
Javi, my boy,
So,
Chef Javi.
so when
know
you
what
got
this-
that guy agreeing with you, you're on the wrong side of the fence, my brother.
Hey, man, always
Chef Javi
you can't
missed
go
out
against
on
the
tacos, by the way.
The cooks are the smartest.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so the Raiders. What you said about the Raiders? What I heard was the Raiders have old guy. By the way, they're over the cap this year by $250,000. Next year they've only got $55 million to work with. I mean, that is next to nothing.
Hey, that reminds me of the Bucs. Old guy
That's
over the cap.
A team loaded with talent already, though.
Well, that right there is going to do it for the Dallas Cowboys. The San Francisco 49ers just got a first down.
Bye-bye,
And
Cowboys.
That'll seal the game for them. Dallas goes down.
So what am
I can't say I'm sorry. I mean, nobody makes me more happy than a sad Cowboy fan.
All right, so that's one down. One of my.
So who's the team that nobody wants to coach?
The Giants.
For me.
Yeah, who's going to get? Who wants the team?
You guys go first. You tell me when to go. You go.
I think the Giants is a pretty bad gig, but I'm going to go with the Texans. I don't think they. I don't listen. Where do I start? They gave a coach 1 year, which I don't necessarily think is his fault. He took a job, lost his plan. Right? Like, hey, that looked like a pretty desirable job until that guy goes out. Right? But like, you traded J.J. Watt at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You have quarterback issues because your guy likes to touch people that he shouldn't. Like, I just think that whole organization has problems. Well, where there's smoke, there's fire.
It does not look good. The organization does look very tumultuous. There's a good word for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to back you up on the Texans, okay? And for kind of the similar reasons, but I'm going to start with the story of Rod Marinelli. We all know who Rod Marinelli was. He was a defensive line coach here or linebackers coach for the Buccaneers. A lot of people thought that he was really a head coach material. And when his opportunity came up about a decade ago, it was with the Lions. Terrible team, terrible organizations. And then, you just can't coach your way out of a bad environment. It just doesn't work. When you don't have support from the ownership and everything that goes with that, it just doesn't work. And Rod Marinelli has never been given an opportunity to coach again as a head coach. He absolutely is an assistant coach these days, but he's not been given another chance as a head coach. The Texans are a disaster. I think they're even worse than what the Detroit Lions were 10 years ago. They have this train wreck going on there with Deshaun Watson. It's a huge distraction to the team. Okay, that's all people want to talk about. Deshaun Watson, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Blah, blah, blah. He's a huge salary cap hit, like $20 million a year, for a guy sitting on the bench. In today's football environment, you cannot afford to make a $20 million mistake, and just to bench it. You just can't do that because, you're talking about taking up, a significant portion of your salary and just throwing it away. And then, like we're saying, they fired the coach after 1 year, didn't even give him respect. They hired him. They said, you're our guy. And then he comes in as a coach. You can't continue to do what the other guy was doing because that wasn't successful. And it's really difficult to change an NFL team in just 1 year. And they didn't even give him the benefit of a second year of his own draft picks, another set of draft picks, recruiting, free agency. The whole thing's a wreck. I think the Texans are going to be a bad team, for maybe at least 5-6 years to come.
Wow.
So I'm picking the New York Giants because they just have zero talent. Okay. Let's take, for example, I said the Raiders, Derek Carr had 4,804 passing yards. Derek Carr has only 2,400 passing yards. Their best running back has 593 yards, half his way to 1,000-yard season. Their best receiver, 521. Their best linebacker, 130 tackles compared to like 150 something over at like the Raiders. They just don't have the talent. And one of the biggest things is whatever coach they bring in there has got to put up with the New York media, which is a high profile, high stress job.
Yes.
And I think it takes a coach like Coughlin to come in there who's tough-nosed, thick-skinned, has a lot of experience to come in like he did before and make that team good. And I think it's going to take something almost a miracle, the perfect coach to come in there and help those guys because they just haven't drafted well. I don't think they have not picked well. Look at these quarterbacks that are coming out of college now that we're seeing. Burrow and San Diego, the Bills, and these new and upcoming quarterbacks, they're playing really well. I mean, these guys, I see some really cool years coming up. Some classic battles like Brady and Aaron Rodgers stuff. These guys are going to take that torch, and we're going to see some really cool games that are coming up with these guys. But Daniel Jones, he doesn't have it. So they don't have the quarterback. They don't have the talent.
Yeah. Chef Hobby's chiming in saying that Saquon Barkley cannot stay healthy.
Yes.
He's text
right.
there.
Yeah.
So that's another,
Yeah, he's right.
a high draft pick they took a few years ago that's just hasn't worked out.
Look what that does to Carolina, not to interrupt you, with their running back.
McCaffrey.
When McCaffrey's out.
McCaffrey.
Fantastic running backs, but they're out so much. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, for me, my pick for the team I would absolutely not go to or touch with a 10-foot pole, very similar to all the reasons you just laid out for the Giants, would be the Chicago Bears. Again, a very much a highly spotlighted media center, right? Chicago, that always, famously the second city, right? So they're second to New York and all that. So they're also in the spotlight all the time. They have absolutely no talent. I think they wasted a draft pick on Justin Fields. I don't think he's anywhere near the talent that, some of these other quarterbacks they could have taken is. Other than that, they've got nothing. I think the only player on their team I would even consider bringing on my team would be a Cole Kmet, their tight end, maybe an Allen Robinson, but he's aging. He's not very, going to be great for very much longer. And then you go into their division.
Don't they still have Mack?
I was going to say Khalil Mack.
Yeah, Kelvin Mack, but come on. When was the last time you heard his name? Right? If you're not hearing his name, he's not doing anything. But you go into their division, look at their division opponents. You've got the Packers, who are king of the mountain right now, top team in the NFC. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is aging, but they've got Jordan Love right behind him, who is essentially going to pick up the mantle and just keep on going. The Lions are a team on the rise. We all saw them the last half of the season. That is a team built and ready to roar for next season. The Vikings, who Chief just laid out some pretty good reasons as to why they're going to be successful here in the near future if they get some good coaching. That is not a division you want to be a part of with no talent and poor support. I mean, Bears fans, look, I got news for you. You're living in 1985, and it's just not happening anymore, right? There's no Richard Dent. There's no Mike Singletary coming to save you. There's no Willie Gaunt, Walter Payton. They're gone. I'm sorry. God rest his soul. He's passed on. The rest of the guys, they're not going to play any ball anytime soon.
What about Refrigerator Perry?
Wake up. I believe he's still alive. Wake up, Chicago fan. You've got nothing. You've been nothing for a very long time, and there's no silver lining coming in your future. You're a horrible franchise. You need to tear down from the top down and rebuild.
Bears.
Top Bears.
Let me ask you guys a question. Better rap. The Chicago Bears, we are the Bears, or we got the GOAT? Which one's
we got
better?
the GOAT.
No, we got the GOAT.
I knew where you're going with
The
that.
Super Bowl Shuffle versus we got the GOAT. Which one's the better rap?
We're not here to start any trouble. We're just here to do the
Super Bowl Shuffle.
Shove goal.
I thought it was interesting. Nobody picked the Lions because and the Lions just beat the Green Bay Packers on the final week of the season.
I think the Lions are ready to go. They're a quarterback away from being really good.
Yeah, which is interesting because they gave up Matthew Stafford. I found that as a
he was older. He thought Goff might have some youth on his side. I get why they traded him away, but plus they got a draft pick out of it too.
Yeah.
You got to remember that they got a first-round draft pick.
Didn't they get one or two?
It may have been two. I don't know, but
it was a lot. It was a ransom.
They did poorly enough to have a top draft pick this year. And again, this is a knock on the stupid Bears. They won like 6 games. They're going to have like the number 15 overall draft pick. So you're not even going to have a good enough draft pick to help rebuild. That's how bad you are.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's a Bears fan and he's upset about how horrible they are.
I'm disappointed for them because the Bears were one of the great teams in the 80s that when I was growing up.
You're a Bear hater, man. You're a Bear hater.
I kind of am.
Let's switch gears. A couple interesting stories for You Can't Fix Stupid. Pooh Bear, roll the clip.
Surprise!
All right, Chief, what do you got for us this week?
So, hey, coming straight out of London this time. Okay, I found this story really, really interesting, and I don't know if it's stupid or lazy, but I'm gonna let you guys choose for us. Okay, so there's this guy, enterprising young man, Freddie Beckett. Okay, but Freddie Beckett is a professional queuer, makes 20 pounds an hour.
Stop, what?
Yeah, a queue is a line. So it's the one that what they call.
Oh, okay.
So what this guy, you can hire this guy, and he will go stand in line for you. So if there's something that you want to get that's going to be, like I say, a 3 or 4 hour line, you hire him for the rate of about $22 an hour. He will stand in line for you, and then he'll buy your stuff for you, and then or you can just, I guess, meet him in line. And when you get close to, say, the box office, when or
a new iPhone.
All right, listen, I got two questions right off the bat.
Go ahead. A lot of questions out of this, but let's go ahead.
I got 2 questions. First of all, does he stand online or in line?
No, they're standing literally in line for stuff, which
I
don't understand.
Europe, they do say online.
That's what I'm asking. Is it online or is it in line?
Well,
they're not on the queue.
They're on it, but they're not on the internet. They're physically, in line for this stuff.
Semantics.
All right.
He doesn't get it.
So,
it's just
I know what you're saying. I got it.
Here's my second question, and here's the one that matters. Okay. What are you standing in line for?
Well, that's kind of what I was saying. Don't they have the internet? Don't they have Ticketmaster? Don't they have, things like that? Maybe it's ye old Ticketmaster. I don't know. But I mean, isn't there haven't figured out how to do stuff without standing in line?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can remember when you used to have to stand in line for concert tickets.
Yeah.
You get in line, you might stay overnight
Yes.
right? I gotta get Rolling Stones tickets. You know, no,
It's worthless.
Garth Brooks tickets.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Probably Journey
You go
tickets.
see Garth.
But Black Friday comes to mind. People camp out for days. So he would be your guy. He would stand in line for. But here's the other thing: can you imagine the patience he has to have? Because you're standing in line, barely moving for maybe 8 hours at a time.
Well, he's making $22 an hour.
Just to stand there. I mean, but when he has to go to the bathroom, what happens then?
Well, I guess my question is, so I could totally see this being beneficial for things like a new iPhone or maybe the new, iPad or the latest Apple product, right? Because I'm impatient. I don't want to wait for Amazon to deliver it 2 days after the release date. I want to get it on release day, right? So you can be the first to have the shiny new, right? So, but what happens when he gets to the front line and it's his turn to purchase the product? And I'm not there. I'm at work. I've hired him to stay in line. Does he have my credit card number to purchase the product? Do I trust him with that, or does he buy it and then I reimburse him? If it's a phone, how do you activate that? Like, you can't activate it without me there. So those are a few questions I have.
How about if you're the guy behind him? You've been standing there with this guy for 4 or 5 hours at a time, and all of a sudden the other guy comes in who's been paying him, and he wants to get in line. Is that switch allowed? Because that's kind of
as long as the guy leaves, I don't mind.
Oh man, I'd be like, hey, no, man.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. You have someone in front of you, as long as the person that was in front of you doesn't double. If he leaves, someone else comes in.
I can see, some fights breaking out because of that.
Nah, I'd be all right with that.
Oh,
I wouldn't cause any problems. Now, if the guy that was paying him wanted to get in line and this guy wanted to stay, then we got a problem. Okay, now we got some hands need to be thrown.
All right, so I just did some math. I just did some math real quick. Okay, let's say this guy does work a legit 40-hour week, which he probably doesn't. But at $22 an hour, he makes about $46,000 a year. Now, I'm not saying that that's a lot of money. That's a pretty easy job to make $46,000.
Sure. And probably tax-free. He's probably not reporting
tax-free.
Yeah. But you don't get to do anything you want it to do. You have to stand there. Yeah. So it begs the question for me, what is it we would have this guy stand in line for us to do? Like what would you be willing to pay someone $20 an hour to wait for you to do that you would normally do?
I just don't wait that often, I mean, I can't really.
I know
my car. I don't know.
Well, so here's the thing. Here's the reality.
They can't wait for you in line at like Disney World because unless you'd have to buy them a ticket too.
Yeah,
and then
5 years ago, this was a normal occurrence. We would have to wait for things like we just said, concert tickets, movie tickets. The world has changed to where we pick our own seats at the movie theater now. To where we can show up 2 seconds before the movie starts and sit down in the seat and nobody's in there. Same thing with the concert. We can buy them online. We get our food delivered. We get the latest product delivered the day of release. I mean, the world has definitely changed in the past 5 to 10 years, but that was definitely a thing. I remember waiting for the iPhone 5. I literally went to the mall, waited in a line. I wanted to bring my lawn chair. The guy said no, but I waited and got it that day. And, it was a fun experience having to wait in line. It's a thing, whatever. You build some camaraderie with the people in line and, what are you waiting for? Which one are you planning on getting? And again, you get it that day, right?
I think they were all silver back then.
No,
they all silver.
So that San Francisco Dallas game just ended. By the way, it got a little bit closer than I thought. That wasn't actually. It went down to 4th and inches. San Francisco went for it, didn't convert. Ended up being a penalty, made it 4th and 6. They punted. Dallas goes down the field. They're actually on the 20-yard line. And they only have about 4 seconds. They were out of timeouts. They have about 4 seconds to run a spike play, and they can't get it off in time. And there might be a little controversy on how long it took the referee to set the ball or whatever. Like Dallas was ready. Dallas was ready to go. So anyways, that game is officially over, which means San Francisco is going to go to Green Bay. I actually kind of like that. They got a hot hand. And I would really like to see somebody knock off Green Bay so we can have home field advantage. So we will get the winner of the Cardinals versus the Rams. And, neither one of those teams, in my opinion, boys, is the team they were in the first half of the season. So
No.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll look at that. We'll obviously have some eyes on that game. That game tomorrow night as we find out who our next opponent is. Here's I don't know if this is a You Can't Fix Stupid, but I came across this on a commercial today after everybody left, and I'm watching that Dallas 49ers game. Have you guys heard of the new menu item that KFC has? They have come out with a new menu item,
just chicken,
that is called Beyond Fried Chicken. Beyond Fried Chicken.
Oh no!
It is a plant-based chicken.
What?
Okay, it's a plant-based chicken. Now,
why?
I'm having a hard enough time getting behind like this Impossible Burger, like the meat that's not real meat. Although my guess is TSG probably eats those because he looks pretty healthy. But he's gonna go with TSG. Do you eat the Impossible Burger?
I've had but I have bought those Beyond Burgers.
Same thing.
And I'll be honest with it's a plant-based burger. I actually put them on the grill the other night, and I'm gonna be honest, guys. They sucked.
Not surprised one bit.
Dude, who is going? Here's my question: who's going to KFC and trying to order off of the healthy menu? I mean, it is literally called fried chicken. I mean, this is no, it's not.
It's in the name.
It's in their name. You know, it's not gonna. It doesn't work.
But they have grilled chicken.
Beyond fried chicken. Listen, I don't get it. Like, why are we making fake stuff? Like, I don't want fake chocolate chip cookies.
Well, here's the question you're all missing. What is the market for this? How many? So conceivably, KFC has looked at this and said, "Hey, we want to appeal to the vegetarian and the vegans, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Which
it's a big market
or veg? Yeah, right. Yeah. Which vegan or vegetarians out there going, man? I would absolutely 100% shop at KFC for my food if they had a fake chicken. Meanwhile, selling real chickens to people that don't want the fake chicken. Those people don't exist. There's nobody. You cannot find anyone in this United States or in any country that is so hardcore for animal rights that they're willing to still convince themselves and to segue on those rights and say, well, I will shop at KFC this one time to get the fake chicken. There's nobody out there. This is stupid. What a waste of marketing. Well, no, you know what? It's not, because here we are talking about it. We're getting free publicity to our tens of fans.
We're talking about it. We're not buying it. That's
what's it called, B-Love?
It's called Beyond Fried Chicken. It's actual fried chicken. Their marketing is fried chicken, but it's plant-based fried chicken.
Hey, I'm going to throw a challenge out to you guys before Tuesday.
No,
someone's got to get out there and try it.
Nope.
No.
Ain't happening, Captain.
I feel like TSG is most likely to do that.
Well, to do what?
Happening, Captain.
Try it.
I bet. You know what? I bet we can. I bet we can get Matty Ho to do it. I bet we can get Matty Ho to do it.
Matty Ho would eat it, but not for any kind of philosophical reasons. He would just do it to do it.
Yeah.
I just cannot wrap my head around the reasoning. Somebody from KFC is gonna have to come out and explain to me exactly the rationale behind this move.
Pooh Bear, more upset about the Bears or fake fried chicken?
KFB, Kentucky Fried Bears. How about that? Oh my goodness,
they're not real Bears.
Oh man, well, let's go to bed. We'll go fall asleep watching the Steelers and the Chiefs. Man, what are the Steelers? Are the Steelers going to pull it off? I know we all picked the Chiefs, but come on, man.
I would like to see it. Yeah,
actually,
Chiefs
picked the Steelers. Chiefs did pick the Steelers. So let's hope that the Steelers have a chance. All right, if you are out there watching this and you're still watching this, first of all, thank you. You're amazing because you sat through and watched all of this, because I don't know, maybe some of us don't. Secondly, if you want to know what happens to the Buccaneers through this playoff series of 2022, this is the channel to subscribe to. So make sure you do that. Like this video, and then click that little bell icon below this video that says it alerts you every single time we upload a video, because as B-Love said, we got a video coming Tuesday for our picks for the following week and to wrap up this week. Looks like TSG.
By the way, there might be in the works too an epic NFL playoffs vlog.
vlog. We started the vlog today. It's going to be great because we rewatched our old vlogs and they're amazing.
Wow! There's a video. There's a video of me jumping in the pool. By the way,
yes, there is.
When did that go up?
About 5 minutes after you jumped in the pool. TSG is currently looking for Tom Brady's armpit. The rest of us will be back next Sunday night, 7:00. We'll see you then. Say goodnight, Chief.
Good night, guys.
Oh